Hey kids, so it is Miss Lawson again, and today is day 12, and we're still in our area and perimeter unit, but instead of focusing on irregular shapes today, we're going to focus on the area of shaded regions. So basically what you're going to have, here's just a few examples I've put on this first page, but what you're going to have is a shape inside a shape, and you have to find the difference among those. Okay, so you have to find the space that's left over, or you have to find the shaded part. Okay, I will admit this video is going to be kind of long, but I'm going all the way through 2 different examples, and the assignment today has problems just like them on there. Okay, so stick with me and I'll try not to talk too much. All right, so our first problem is a word problem, and you're going to have a few of those today that have word problems. And this says Tom's building a deck around his pool. The deck will measure 22 feet by 30 feet. The pool has a diameter of 14 feet. How much of the deck will be visible? When you have a word problem, my first advice is always going to be to draw a picture. All right, so here I have drawn a picture and I've labeled my parts because it told me I had a deck that was 22 by 30 feet and I had a pool that had a diameter, and remember, diameter goes all the way across. The diameter was 14 feet, right? And the reason I highlighted the question, how much of the deck will be visible, that is telling me that we are going to focus on area. Okay, so we're not dealing with perimeter. We're focusing on area because we're looking at how much of that shape is visible. Nothing about the distance around it, that doesn't matter, but we're talking about how much of it that we see or that we have to cover up or whatever. All right, so it's not just about the border, it's about what's inside the shape too. So we're going to focus on area. And the first thing we have to do is find the total area of the deck. Okay, so obviously in this problem, we have 2 shapes here. We have a rectangle, and we have a circle. So to find the area of that rectangle, we do base times height, which is 30 times 22, and we get 660 feet squared, right? So we have found the area of one of our shapes. Our next step is to find the area of the circle. And the area of the circle formula is pi r squared. So to find the area of this pool, we need the radius. But it gave me the diameter. Okay, but we're looking for the radius. So hopefully you remember that the diameter divided by 2 gives me the radius. Okay, so if I cut the diameter in half, I get the radius. So knowing that piece of information, 14 is my diameter, divided by 2 equals 7. So my radius of the pool is 7. Now that I know the radius, I can go and I can plug it into the circle formula for the area. And the area of my pool is going to be 3.14 because that is the value of pi that we're going to use, times the radius squared, which is 7 squared. And that equals 248.06. feet squared. So I found the area of the deck, and then I found the area of the circle. And you've got to remember, you have to get the radius. Sometimes it'll give you the area, all right, or the diameter. So you have to find the radius first. After I found the area of both of those shapes, go back and think about the question. It's asking how much of this deck will be visible. So the 660 that represents the deck is this whole thing inside the square. Okay, so if I were to go and color all of this in, that would be the 660 feet squared. Okay, But what's happened is I've covered up part of that area with this pool, right? I've got my deck, and then it's like I've set my pool on top of it. So to know how much of the deck will be visible, I have to take that area of the entire deck and subtract the area of the pool, because that's the part that's covered up. And that is going to leave me with the area of the visible deck. So what we see right now is what we're looking for, all that orangey brown area. So I plug in 660 minus 248.06, and my final answer is going to be 411.94 feet squared. All right. So when it's asking for the area of a shaded region, step 1 is to draw a picture and label what you know. Step 2 is to find the area of both shapes. And then step 3 is going to be to subtract, okay, because we're always going to be subtracting. And you should know that because the area of the visible deck can't be more than the area of the whole deck. If this number was bigger than 660, then I knew I had done something wrong. All right? So this is how you find the area of a shaded region, right? And that's example 1. And you're going to have a few problems on your assignment today that are just like that. They're word problems, but maybe instead of having a circle that you have to cut out or get rid of, you've got a square or something, okay? So you're just going to have 2 shapes, and you have to find the shaded region, the area of that region. Here's another type of problem you might see where you have to find the area of what's shaded, and you already have a picture, so that cuts down on some of the work that you have to do. We're going to follow the same steps, and the first thing we're going to do is find the area of the square. So to do that, remember the area of the square is base times height. And so I do 14 times 14, and I get 196 feet squared. That's the area of the entire square. Okay. Step 2, I have to find the area of the circle. Well, this didn't directly tell me anything about the circle, right? No part of the circle is labeled. And I need to know the radius in order to find the area. That's what we talked about with the last problem, was I had to find the radius. That's not labeled. Neither is the diameter. So what do we do? Well, if this side is 14 feet, that means this side is 14 feet. And anywhere in the square from side to side is 14 feet. And it just so happens that the circle touches both sides of the square, which means this diameter is 14 feet. Okay? So even though it wasn't labeled, I can figure that out just by looking at the picture. And we need to know the radius. If the diameter is 14, then that means the radius is 7, because 14 divided by 2 is 7. Alright, so now I know what the radius is. The area formula for a circle is pi r squared. Don't forget to go back and look at your formula sheet if you need help. And I'm going to substitute in my values to that formula. So pi is the same thing as 3.14 times 7 squared, which is the radius squared. And the area of my circle is 153.86 feet squared. Okay, so that was the area of the circle. And now step 3, I have to find the area of just the shaded region. And like I said before, we're going to subtract. We're always going to subtract when we're looking for the shaded region. So I'm going to do the square minus the circle equals the shaded region, because I'm taking out that circle from the square. I get 196 minus 153.86, And my final answer is 42.14 feet squared. Okay, and basically you're always going to put the bigger number first minus the smaller number equals your area, because you can't have negative area. All right, so at this point, if you are confused, go back and watch the video again. Try a problem on your own, see how you do. If you are still struggling, feel free to contact me through Remind or email or Google Classroom, and I will do my best to help. And yeah, I think that's all. This was a little longer, so thanks for sticking with me and watching all of it. I will upload the PowerPoint, I'll upload this video, you have your formula sheet, and yeah, okay, bye. I miss you all so much. And oh, happy Tuesday.